Greetings. This is episode 1 of my podcast and YouTube channel. Greetings, fellow travelers. And today's story is the origin of one Mojo Risin and how I came up with the concept. First, a little about me. I am a prolific songwriter. I started my freshman year of high school, which was 1985. When I first started writing, I was very much into heavy metal and the metal scene at the time of 1985, and far less into pop music. And I am closing in now on about 300 songs wrote, and I have about 100 poems wrote, or more or less, that I compiled into 3 books. And I'm going to tell you about my first introduction of the Doors, which was in the Lost Boys movie in July of 1987. That would make me about 16 years old at the time. I was born on November 17th, 1970. Which would make me a freshman in the class of 1985, and I graduated in 1989, the end of the decade, the last of the rebels. I first heard the Doors on the radio, and to be honest with you, I never really gave it any real attention of any kind, because I was into metal, and it really didn't interest me very much, and it didn't do much for me. I remember very distinctly hearing the song Strange Days by Echo and the Bunnymen, and I couldn't quite pinpoint the feeling I experienced other than to say it was extremely hauntingly familiar to me at the time that I heard it. And I honestly can't recall if I had heard it before this point of my life on the radio. I'm sure I did, but this was a much deeper level of familiarity. It cut deep into my soul. That was the very beginning of my appreciation of the Doors. I really hadn't listened to them. I owned no records, and I certainly wasn't a fan. And I proceeded to go out and buy the Best of the Doors album after I heard Strange Days from Echo and the Bunnymen. And I don't know, even at that point, I guess I really didn't evolve that much into a Doors fan. Now I'd explain how the concept of Mojo Risin was still very unfamiliar to me at this point. I know when I started, I wanted a writer's name other than my own, a pen name, and I came up with that. And my name was Vincent Victrola, and that came from my favorite singer, Vince Neil, and Victrola for the aspect of music, as in the record player. And it wasn't until much later in my writing that change occurred, and I was very much into Vision Quest at the time and the Native American concepts. And it had a great influence on the early part of my writing career. Well, one night it hit me like a hammer in a dream. A dream is where all of this stemmed from. I can remember very specifically, I was on stage singing, and I turned around, and in my dream I had this huge tattoo on my back. Like my whole back was tattooed. And I was kind of taken back and a little shocked in the dream. It was pretty amazing thing to take in, all of the huge tattoo and the scene that it was set in. And it had the answer in big letters on my back in the tattoo in the dream of Mr. Mojo Risin, it said. I did my best to remember the tattoo at the time that was happening, and I eventually set out to recreate what I dreamed. It was then, and still, I am very much into numerology, and I set up a tattoo appointment to get the tattoo started. Mr. Mojo Risin was tattooed on my back on Jim Morrison's birthday on December 8th, 1994. And that, my friends, was the very beginning of the birth of Mojo Risin. And my rather long and expensive attempt to recreate what I saw from that very dream. And the specific point in time in my writing career that I changed my pen name and I went from Vincent Victrola into Mr. Mojo Risin. So I had no preconceived notion to actually call myself Mojo Risin. It all stemmed from a dream that I had, and that was just the vision that came to me. So that was how it all got started, and that was the very origins of one Mojo Risin.
Just a dream, Jimmy. That's all it is. It's just a dream.